I may be broke, but I'm not a broke person. My mother was not there for me because she was always out working. But so Chrissy says childhood traumas. Immediately I was like, wow, childhood traumas.
Welcome to the M.A.N podcast, where your mind truly matters. We're your hosts, Tatenda and Rudy. Here, we tackle life's challenges, foster resilience, and promote wellness. Because in the world of M.A.N, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Stay tuned.
Hello there and welcome to another one. I trust I found you in good spirits. My name is Tatenda, back with another one. I'm smiling because it's so good to see you. It's so good that you are here and you're in one spirit and we're doing what we love. I think before I start with tonight's shoot, first of all, disclaimer, this was very hard. But because of you, you gave me so much, what do you call it? You gave me so much depth and so much belief in what I do, and only to understand that so many of you are watching, and I actually did not know that you guys were part of the family. So thank you so much for the support. Where do I begin? But before we get into tonight's shoot, or into tonight's recording, if you're new to the channel, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. The reason why we come to your screen, or I come to your screen rather, is because we want to make sure that you're the best possible version of yourself, mentally, physically, and everything else that ensures that you're a best person or a better person in society, in your family, and in everything that you do. Anyway, for those that are listening and in their cars, I hope my voice is good enough for you not to cause an accident, because you can concentrate knowing for sure that I am there rooting you and ensuring that you don't drink and drive and that you don't do any silly stuff in this season. The amount of accidents that has happened over the past couple of months, especially in Easter, has just been heartbreaking. And I was watching on Twitter, X they call it, and the people that passed on in Limpopo, they were being transported back to their loved ones or to their places of descent. That's in Botswana, and we just send a massive condolences to those people. It's heartbreaking to think that one moment you were preparing or you were saving up for Easter, only to realize that that was the last savings, or that was the last time that you saw your loved one. I think that comes back to you as that's how important life is. I think we live in a life where it's easy to have grudges. It's easy to kind of feel like that person does not belong on earth, or they deserve to die because of the bad things that they have done. But hey, life is very short. Now, those people, 45 of them, including children, women and children, it is heartbreaking, to say the least. So if you're still here and you've got your family, you've got your friends, please hold them dear. And if you've got anybody that you are not in cahoots, or you're not speaking to, or you're not in talking terms with, please make amends, because life is very, very short, like in every sense of the word. I think when we say life is short, we think, oh wow, we're just saying it for the sake of saying it. But in all honesty, life is very, very short. So make amends, forgive where it needs to be, and be a better person in society, in your family, in your workplace, in everything that you do. Anyway, my name is Tatenda, by the way. For those that do not know me, I am the man behind Podcast with Tatenda, and all the three segments that come to you are to ensure that as a team, we bring you quality stuff, from the videos that we upload to the conversations that we have in the podcast, and all the people that come through. Is because we love what we do, and it is to ensure that you are the best possible version of yourself. I don't know where that statement comes from, the best possible version of yourself, but let's just take a second to just reiterate on that point. Best possible version of yourself. That means that is the version that you love more before someone else loves you, or before someone else is involved in that whole discussion, or in that whole equation. So the best possible version of yourself is the version that everyone else likes, is the version that people want to coexist with, is the version that communities are going to feel safer and they're going to grow when they are the best possible version. Because I believe that as individuals, if we grow ourselves, then the community is going to be grown. Just like in a game of cricket or in a game of soccer, everyone else does extra stuff on their own to ensure that they are in sync with the whole team. They're in sync with the rest of the squad. That way, that's how teams win matches. That's where maybe the Boks won the World Cup. And speaking of which, has anyone been following what's that, the Sun? You remind me, Chasing the Sun. A mate of mine, Johan van der Vesthuizen, said, have you watched Chasing the Sun, Tats? And I'm like, no, I've just been seeing it on statuses and everything. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'll find time. But believe me, if you have not watched Chasing the Sun, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go on to DSTV, it's on Ketchup, and just go through what Rassi's mindset is and what the Springboks rugby was about. And for someone that doesn't know what Chasing the Sun is, it's a story behind the Springboks, the South African rugby team, winning the World Cup, and every challenge that they faced, every obstacle that they faced to make sure or to get to being triumphant or to be champions two times in a row. That's unbelievable. Our boys in cricket are failing to do that. The boys in soccer are not doing that. What other sport is there? Are failing to do that. So you can see that winning a World Cup is a big thing, and the Proteas are going to the World Cup. Let me know in the comment section what you think of that squad and who you think is the best or possibly going to clinch this title. I still think that Australia still have a bigger chance. Mentally, they know how to win. They know how to tackle big tournaments, but I think Australia's got a very good side. I'm not disregarding the South African side as well, but I just think Australians, I think in the IPL as well, they have sort of clicked, and they've had big guys that have been scoring big runs. Mitch Marsh, Marcus Stoinis, Travis Head on fire. Fraser McGregor, I was so eager to see if he was going to make the squad as well. So they've got Pat Cummins as well as a captain. I think it's growing as well. So yeah, but we're not talking about Game On podcast. We're not talking about sport. We are here because we want to grow ourselves. We are here because we want to be best versions of ourselves. If you're listening to this, please consider following on Spotify and Apple Podcast to ensure that the more people that are rating this show, or the more of you that are rating, the more that Apple is going to push our podcast to ensure that someone else hears this. Sharing is the easiest way as well. Someone asked me in the comments on my WhatsApp, and they said, I'm watching your podcast, and I get a lot of these things. And believe you me, I appreciate the messages that you send to me to say that you've watched and you've enjoyed, or you give me feedback. But it is so important for you to do it on YouTube. So if you go onto YouTube, and I'm going to link down below how you do it. If you press that like button, it then changes. There's a sort of like a pop, like balloons that just splash. That shows that you like the video. So the algorithm is already pushing such content to people that are in your circle. So the people that watch with you, or the people that you know, or the people that you interact with on your social media, they are going to see that. When you share as well, so if you press on share, it's going to give you 3 options or 4 options, one of which is got the WhatsApp. It takes it straight to your status or to the people in your contacts, or the other one takes it as a copy link. When you copy the link, you can paste it on any social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, X, and any other, or even Threads can attach a link. You can't do it on Instagram. So when you do that, the algorithm is already learning that, oh, this is the kind of stuff that you like. Even if you don't like my channel, but that is a sign of support as well. Even if you don't send me money or give me sponsorship to sponsor the videos, that on its own, you're already pushing the algorithm to suggest stuff like what I do to someone else. So thank you so much for the messages that you sent to me, but it was great to have a video. Like if you see the video that we have above here, I had Ondela, and part of the question was to ask what the person is, how you know the guest. And I think we had 23 likes and 23 comments and 300 or 400 odd views on that video. That is what we're trying to push. So every comment that you put in, even if you put a full stop or a love or a heart or something, that is equally as important as the message that you send to me on WhatsApp. So that's on the marketing side of the podcast and what we're trying to achieve. So thank you so much. If you're watching, I want to see that you've been watching, not only on my WhatsApp. I saw, I got an inbox from Trevor Chawana. He's in Canada, and he said, I love the interview, the one that we did with Mike Chinoya, and I'm going to post it up above. It is speaking about Mike's professional career as a sports person. He's in Zimbabwe, based in Zimbabwe, plays cricket there, and it's an amazing story. I linked above as well the Ondela episode about fatherhood, and every other episode that I have done. I think on the M.A.N podcast, on this particular podcast, I think we are nearing, this is probably episode 82 or 83 if I'm not mistaken, and episode 38 on the Game On podcast, and episode 15 on Spill the Beans. So we are growing. We are definitely growing. Thank you so much for being there. Anyway, I sent out a message, and this is the first time that I've ever done this, and I'm so overwhelmed at your responses. Let's begin there. I sent a message, I sent a post on Facebook, and it read as exactly follows, and it says, help a brother out, I need to record a podcast, please give me a topic, any topic that goes with self-development, please. And speaking of, I needed to record, Rudy sends his apologies. He could not make it tonight because he had a kid that fell sick from his school, and he had to make sure that that kid was okay and make sure that the kid is fine in hospital. So Rudy sends his apologies, and I also send a massive shout out to Rudy for the communication and making sure that he is behind me and is watching this. And today I'm a better person. I think I'm not overly a clown. I am just that person. You know, when they say what makes you a clown is the person that is next to you. So when Rudy is here, I'm a clown. That means Rudy is the problem. Because today, look at this. Tonight I am so down to earth. I'm so amazing. I'm so quiet. I'm so reserved. I'm just landing all those nuggets and making sure that you are healthy mentally, because that's what's important. I think we can have all the money in the world that we want or we can strive for, but mental health is important. And we are going into a life where, coming from lockdown, I think lockdown has taught us that it's not about money, it's about the people that are in your life. So I sent a message, and wow, thank you so much. But the first one, and what I'm going to do is, as I'm going through all these comments, I'm going to list their names and link their names, because I asked the few individuals if I can mention their names, and they were fine with it. So thank you. The first one came from Christine Wadworth. Chrissy, you're amazing. I think I've known Chrissy for a good couple of years now. She was at Randburg, dated my friend, and then decided to leave and live for Joburg. And guess what? She's actually coming onto the show, so we're going to jump onto a Zoom recording with her. You're going to watch that video to next week. And Chrissy, first time meeting Chrissy, it was, she's this lady, very bubbly, has 2 kids, 2 boys, and they play cricket as well. And you know, as a junior coach, you're always going to meet those boys. But I met her from a senior cricket point of view, and she was so devoted to Randburg Cricket Club. I think one of the servants that are unsung heroes of Randburg Cricket Club, and so thankful. And I'm so thankful as well that over the years we've kept in contact. We don't talk every day, but she's one of those people that I know for sure that even if I were to call you at 12 midnight, Chrissy, I know you're watching this, you would pick up the phone and help me. And the fact that you are in George and I've been to George, I can actually call you and say, let's have a beer. That would be great. So the first thing that she says realizing childhood traumas. And as I'm going through all these comments, I'm going to try and put myself in them, because when I said I started the M.A.N podcast or started this podcast, I was not saying it because I've made it or I've arrived or I have achieved or I know better or I know more than you do. But rather, I think as you looking at these comments, you sort of put yourself in there, like, yeah, because one thing for sure with mental health, we've all been there. I think whatever that you're going through right now, someone else has been there. And whatever that I may be going through right now, someone else also has been through that. And that's the goodness of making sure that we're in contact. Because that's when you realize, oh, so if Tatenda went through this, that means it's possible. I can survive this, no matter how bad it may seem. Because a lot of times when you are going through a tough time, you kind of feel like you're isolated. Only when you look at the problem from the outside, that's when you realize that, no, man, it's not all that bad. It may be bad, don't get me wrong, but also knowing it or seeing it from the outside makes you realize that there is more solutions. When you're inside, it's more problems, and you don't want to live a life where everything is bombarded with problems. So Chrissy says childhood traumas, and immediately I was like, wow, childhood traumas. That's a big one. I think, especially from a black parents' perspective, someone was making an example or making a joke on Twitter, on TikTok rather, and they said, when you go to a therapist and your black parent is always going to say, please, let's go wash the dishes, because we can't let Tatenda wash the dishes because it's going to say I've got childhood trauma. And we take these things for granted, especially coming from lockdown. Lockdown made me realize that the kids that we had were equally as stressed as we were. Yes, we were stressed because people were dying. Yes, we were stressed because, like, I was stressed because I'm thinking, if I'm not working, what am I going to earn? If I'm not working, how am I going to pay rent? If I'm not working, how am I going to take care of my family? If I'm not working or not bringing an income, how am I going to do this? So it was a constant stress. But then look at this from a kid's perspective. One moment they're in school, the next thing they're at home. One moment they're supposed to be at school, the next thing there's lockdown, or someone is tested positive, or you need to check their temperature. All those things were traumatic. But when she said realizing childhood trauma, the first thing that came to my mind was like, what is it that Tatenda went through that he can say was childhood trauma? I lost my dad when I was very, very young. I was probably 10, 12, 13, somewhere there. I'm not too sure. I stand to be corrected. And I still remember walking in. I was coming from playing. And my aunt then says, no, have you had? So I'm like, what? Then my dad has passed. And it never really clicked that he was dead. And that is partly because you're a child and you're just thinking life is as easy as 1, 2, 3. But later on, you then realize that, no, man, the reason why that happened, and that's exactly the kind of person that I still am. When I lose someone, or I lose someone through death or distance or whatever, I don't grieve. And it's always been an issue as well that when I'm feeling something, I do nothing about it. And just recently, I lost my sister. And 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, it was her birthday. And that's when I realized that, crap, I never grieved my sister because I don't know how to. So as a child, crying, I think the first time that I then cried after realizing that my father was dead was when we did the body viewing. And from there, going to the grave to bury him. That's when it's sort of like it's starting to come in. But every other time, the only reason why I would cry is because the person that is coming to me is crying and saying, oh, dad has passed, or my brother has passed, or uncle has passed, whatever. Then I would cry because they are crying. So is it really grieving, or rather me feeling that they're feeling sad for me? You understand what I'm trying to get at? I think that has always been an issue. So could I classify that as a childhood trauma? I don't remember ever growing up and my father or my parents were depriving me of certain basic needs. I went to a good school. I had everything that I needed in the house. I grew up with my mom and dad in the same house, all my siblings, and the natural banter between siblings was normal. So you can't call that childhood trauma. But then Christy said something in the inbox, and she said she recently started seeing a therapist, and he was the one that told her that most of the things that she battles with daily, such as insecurities, self-sabotage, relationships, or even work-related issues, there are so many points as an adult we don't see that affecting us by what environment we were in growing up. Seeking the love you never received as your parents were facing their own demons. So you actually can realize that as parents, right now I'm a parent, and there are certain demons that I'm facing, and you are so fixated on those demons that you forget that I still have a child. I still have Alake to look up to. I still have Alake that looks at me as a hero, even though I'm looking at these demons that I can't grieve, or I can't show my anger, or I can't show or express exactly how I'm feeling when I'm feeling it. And over time, it ends up building and growing, and it becomes something so big that I did not intend it to be. So that's sort of like been my go-to area where instead of crying or instead of expressing, believe you me, I've never been a fan of therapy. I've never been a fan of sitting down with someone on a couch and just talk to them, because those things are expensive, especially for us black people. You're thinking, geez, going to see a therapist, does that mean I'm crazy? In other words, they would say, no, man, going to see a shrink, that means you're crazy. I think for white oaks, you grew up already having that sort of as a plus, that it is easy to speak to somebody. And this generation of black people, I'm so glad that now we're understanding the power of therapy. They are understanding that it may be expensive, yes, but your mental health has got no price tag to it. And that's why I started also believing that speaking helps. Being on the podcast as well has really, really helped me. So I cannot wait to speak more about childhood traumas and unpack as well, because it's such a topic that I did not even, in the wildest of dreams, think that I would speak about or think that I'm going through it until I saw it. And I'm thinking, speaking of which, everyone has been complaining that you need to grieve. Even my own wife has been saying, you need to grieve, you need to cry, you need to show the anger, you need to show that you're sad that your sister has passed on. But my wife also said something so powerful, and I said, geez, I last saw Lely in June, and she's like, you are better than your siblings, because they last saw her probably 7-8 years ago, until the time that she passed. So you're like, it's not all that bad. But still, what I'm trying to point out is grieving has got no limitations. And that's something that I'm learning as well, that you also don't want a situation where you blame your parents for what happened to you when you were younger. At some point, I think if we learn to speak about them and not look at ourselves as victims, I think we are in a better position to then find healing or seek resolve or resolutions or solutions to our traumas. Because remember, parents were also fighting their own demons. I've heard of people that said my mother was not there for me because she was always out working. But then at the same time, in the same breath, it was actually eavesdropping. My wife was speaking to her auntie this morning, and she spoke about the same thing, that she does not hold her mom accountable for not being there, because if mom was not there, then the nice clothes were never gonna be there. You understand? So it comes back to sort of we understanding that our parents were also making mistakes. Our parents were also learning on the job, just like we do. Right now, if you tell me that do I know what to do with Alake when he's a teenager and he's going through puberty or he's going through girls and whatnot, I don't know. I think everyone right now, as a parent, we're just winging it. Honestly, no one knows what we're doing. When the child throws their tantrums and whatnot, and you discipline them, you are not disciplining them because you once threw a same tantrum. It's because you're also dealing with your own stuff. And sometimes I realize that when I used to beat Alake up, it was not beating him up because I did not I wanted to punish him, but because I was fighting my own personal demons, that he happened to be the weakest link that I would in turn take my anger out on, until I then had to learn the hard way as well, that, you know what, in as much as this boy is doing this, but maybe he's just seeking attention, maybe I'm not there for him, maybe I'm not talking to him enough, maybe I'm not spending time enough with him. And it's something that I'm learning over the time as I'm a parent, to say, yes, sometimes as a parent you're fighting your own demons, but then don't forget your children. So most of the childhood traumas, instead of us blaming the parents, let's also understand that they were also people. And back then it was even worse than it is now, mental health was not regarded at all, especially in the black community. So don't blame your parent for the wrongs that they did, because they also did not know. Because for all we know, we're doing so much wrong to our kids as it stands. 18 years later, they're going to be looking back and say, I've got childhood trauma, and how is that going to make us feel? I don't think any parent is going to love it when their child tells them that they've been a bad parent, unfortunately. So Chrissy, thank you so much for that. And we're going to have an in-depth on that particular topic on childhood traumas. So yeah, it's one of those. Thank you so much for that. The next one was Knowing Your Self-Worth by Anton Murray. Anton is my mate. We play cricket together. We've coached together, and we've been in the same indoor team for quite a while. And knowing your self-worth, there's so much importance in knowing who you are. And as I was coming into Olivewood where I coach, there was someone that says it takes a great deal of maturity to grow and realize who you really meant to be. That to me was my statement, even on my status this week, that knowing who you are is so important, because you're not going to be swayed around. You need to understand that you are a child of God. That's one for sure. And two, you're not going to be a pushover. No one is just going to come in and tell you or dictate to you what you are and what you need to know and how you need to move. And there is so much power with knowing your self-worth. And a lot of times when you know your self-worth, it comes across as you're arrogant. It comes across as you are too confident. And the world wants to label people that know their worth as, yeah, no man, they think they're better than the rest. There's nothing wrong in saying that I'm better. I'm a best podcaster ever. You're the best at what you're doing. You're the best cricket coach ever. You are the best teacher. You're the best husband. You're the best wife. There is nothing wrong in understanding that, I am here on a mission, not to impress someone else, but to ensure that I do what I do to the best of my abilities. That is confident in knowing who you are. And there's power in that, because confidence, a lot of times, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. Yes, arrogance is saying, I can do it. But also confidence is, I can do it. It's believing that I can. It's believing that I'm a good person. It's believing that I can achieve whatever that I put my mind to. I can find out information of whatever that I need, and I'll still be successful. So thank you so much, Anthony, for pointing that out. If you're still here, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Don't forget, as we're carrying on to the next part and the next phase, as we're carrying on with these messages. The next one was Malcolm Fedi, and it's so amazing that everyone is talking more or less around the same thing. And it says, self-growth, picking yourself up after hitting rock bottom. Hey, rock bottom. It's amazing. Again, we spoke about it with Ondela, and he says a lot of times we are so scared of the unknown. We are so scared of failure, so much so that you're thinking, if I hit rock bottom, what are people going to say? If I wake up right now and I can't speak about the podcast, or I can't coach, or I can't have an income, then I'm such a failure. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with starting over. And I still remember I finished school and I went to Botswana. My sister took me to Botswana, and I'm a very young person. I'm very, very young. My face is still very young. So we rock up in Botswana, fine, everything is sorted, and she takes me to this work yard. I didn't have a qualification by then. So takes me to this work yard where they're molding bricks. And the first thing that everyone was saying was, you child, what are you doing here? But then people didn't understand that the situation that I left back home was not favorable for me to sit down and say, I'm a child. I had to stand up for myself and say, no, let's do this. So fine, mom and dad have passed on. Things are really bad in Zimbabwe. And you're just going to Botswana because there seems to be an opportunity. What opportunity? No one knows. No one is going to tell you. You're going to realize when you get there. And boy, oh boy, was it tough. It was tough in Botswana. We had to wake up and you're molding bricks. So the more bags of cement that you take from the truck when it comes, the more that you're going to earn. So if let's take, for example, you're being paid 20 Rand per bag of cement. If you take 2 bags because it's 100 kgs and it's heavy, that means you're only getting $40. If you then decide to join hands with another person, then that means you can take more bags, and the more bags that you take, you're going to split that money, and at least you're working together. That sort of vibe. That's exactly what I did for a good 6 months, a year, I think. And in that 6 months and a year, I was renting out a room that had no roof. That was the cheapest room that you could have. And you're sleeping and you're looking at the sky and the stars, and you're thinking, what have I done with my life? If God was looking at me, or my parents were looking at me right now, they'll be so disappointed, because I left a house back home, but then, wow, it is what it is. I carried on and I pushed on. And what I'm trying to just put out is, when you've hit rock bottom, I don't think I can qualify to say I'd hit rock bottom, but I started from rock bottom. To be where I am right now and speaking to you like this, having the best facilities, I can say my studio stands out as one of the best studios that you can think of. But I did not start right at the top. I started rock bottom. And here we are. Long story short. So when you are going through what you're going through, I then came to South Africa, actually. Then I started working. But the job that I was working was not in any way, shape, or form what I wanted. And I still remember my brother-in-law. I was working night shift, and we're sitting under a tree after work, and they're like just relaxing before we can go in and sleep. And he says, how was work? And I'm like, nah, this is not life. This is not life. I'm not seeing myself 5 years doing the same thing. And he said, no, he's been working the same job for 21 years, and I will get used to it. So I'm like, no, not me. And 5 years later, 6 years later, 7 years, 10 years later, whatever, here we are. Almost 10 years later, here we are. He's still doing the same thing. And I've moved in leaps and bounds because of you, because you believed in me and I believed in myself. So come back to knowing your worth and being confident in that which you are saying. So rock bottom happened when I then moved from that job, because that's what I didn't want. And I came and I stayed with this girl, my then girlfriend, who's my wife. She had a very stable job. She had everything going for herself. And I hated the fact that I had to now start from scratch. I did not even know where to start, but I was like, you know what? She gave me some money and helped me some money to start a business back home of mining. We went to do mining and nothing sufficed. Walking 28 to 30 kilometers a day, we did not get a single thing. She had to still send me money of bus fare to come back to South Africa to start again. When I came back to South Africa, I had lost the job that I was working night shift. Now I had to come and stay with her. And as I'm staying with her, my brother-in-law, my sisters were also angry at me, and they're like, no, you left your job at the brink of a promotion. And here you are. Now you are living with a woman, and you don't have work, you don't have an income, nothing whatsoever, until an opportunity arose at Randburg Cricket Club. That's why I'm so, my loyalty to Randburg Cricket Club is so huge, because they gave me an opportunity when there was nothing else. I'm so grateful. Yes, in as much as Jody and we fought at loggerheads and everything, but I'm so grateful to Jody and Neil Livingston for giving me an opportunity to do what I love. And here I am, and partly what I'm doing right now is because of Randburg Cricket Club, and I'm so thankful to God for that. So this woman then takes care of me. I think there was a point where on the 20th, when she got paid, she would give me a card so that when we do groceries, then I had to swipe it to pretend as if I'm the one. And that is an indication of, this is a man that is rock bottom. I don't have a cent. I'm not contributing rent. I'm not contributing food. Nothing, zero, zilch, no clothes whatsoever that I could afford. Couldn't even afford my own panty. Yet she was there. So when you go to rock bottom, I think it's so important to have someone that believes in your craft and believes in that, yes, something is going to come out. I think a lot of women or men, we end up not supporting the people that are not working, or partners that are not working, is because they don't see them trying. Those were her words, not mine. When she said, at least he was applying for stuff. At least he had ambitions. At least he had dreams. At least you could hear that this person is going somewhere. He's not just relaxed and happy with where he was. So hitting rock bottom is not the end of it. It teaches you more things, because the lessons that you learn from down there are more than the ones that you learn at the top of the mountain or the top of the cliff. So don't be scared of hitting rock bottom. Don't be scared of downgrading. Don't be scared of starting over. There is so much importance, because now you are more experienced, you're more learned. Now you know where to go, how to go about it, not to do this, not to do that. So do not be scared of hitting rock bottom. We are so scared of what will people say. That is the trick of the enemy, to think that I'm having it easy. Yes, I can struggle in this, but I'm going to hustle my way through. People are going to talk. Whether you do good or you do bad, people are also going to talk. So, Malcolm, thank you so much. Pranit says, learning what your strengths and weaknesses are as a person and how to manage your weaknesses and play with your strengths. Decisions made with self-understanding are generally happy decisions. Decisions made with self-understanding. I think it comes back again to knowing your self-worth. And when you know your self-worth, you make decisions that are going according to what you know best. And when you make those decisions according to this, you will make happier decisions. I want to be the kind of person that always makes happier decisions. In as much as I don't want to disregard the bad decisions that I've made, because through the bad, do you learn to be better? Do you learn to be a better person? Do you learn to be a better individual, or a better human being? So I love the fact that when you do that with self-understanding, then you are in a happier slot, or you are more favorable slot kind of way. Kathy spoke about forgiveness, and there's actually a video on forgiveness, and I'm going to link it up there again, where I speak about the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is so important. I don't think we can speak enough on forgiveness. Forgiveness. It's not for the person, it's for you. And a lot of times we feel like, yeah, it's easier said than done until you are in the situation. Forgiveness is for you. So you have to forgive. I think there is no better way to say this, but when you forgive, you're letting yourself free, not letting them free. You're letting yourself free. Whether or not they come to apologize or ask for forgiveness or ask for an apology, the fact is, if you're forgiving them, then you're in a better space of mind, mentally, physically. And everything that you do is sort of like it's going to be flowing and easy going. Grenville spoke about the mindset in cricket and mental health. And it's so important that in sport in general, actually, there is more failures than successes. And because there's more failures than successes, a lot of times we tend to think that just because we're looking good on TV, then we're supposed to do well. When we're not doing well, it's like you look at these cricketers, or you look at these elite sports people. When they start doing badly, Twitter is on them like hot bananas. Social media is on them like hot bananas. They suck. They need to be dropped and whatnot. If you're doing what you love and someone is calling for your head, it hurts. And it takes a great deal of mental strength to understand that, yes, the game of sport, or the sport in general, there is more failures than successes. And it takes a great individual to have advice to say, you're not always going to be on top of the mountain. You're not always going to be celebrating. There's going to be tears and tears and tears until you learn to realize that when the joy comes, when the success comes, you're going to be in a better space, because you understand and you are humble enough to take that success or that pass. So in mental health, definitely, and we're going to speak about that on the M.A.N podcast. Thank you, Gran. My friend Petam Settler said we need to learn and read more books. And I responded and I said, man, grow wise every day. It's so amazing that whenever my son goes to bed, he's reading a book. And tonight he said to me, Dad, I've told myself that I'm going to read 1 page a day before I go to bed. There's so much power in that. And the kind of words that is coming, he was asking us, what does this word mean? And it was a serpentologist. Do you know what a serpentologist is? Tell me in the comment section. A serpentologist. This is a 10-year-old that is telling me about a serpentologist. The other day he was telling me of homonyms and synonyms, and I'm like, geez, look at you. So there's so much power in reading. Read a book or read a chapter every day, and you're going to be a better person, or you're going to be in a better state. So thank you so much, Peter. Mutsamai is coming to the podcast, to the Game On podcast, and he says the transition from provincial cricket to professional cricket and new contracts. I think a lot of people have struggled with that as well, because if they don't have an agent, especially in soccer, we've seen that where someone was playing for Bafana or the national team, by the time that they end their career, the money is gone as well, because they had parties, they had girls, and doing all sorts of rubbish because no one was managing them. There's so much power in having a manager that's going to say, do this, don't do that. Yes, it feels like they're controlling you, and they are. That's why we get married, to be controlled as well. Because if you don't get controlled, you're going to be a stray dog. So there's a very, very good topic, and it's going to come on the Game On podcast. Thank you so much. Banzi Jubaze says, finding yourself amidst challenges. That's a big one, because finding yourself amidst challenges, a lot of times it's easy to sort of like think that you are the challenge. What do I mean by that? When you are... Let's suppose you do something that is bad. You did something that's bad. It doesn't mean that you are bad. When you're going through, let's suppose, financial troubles, it doesn't mean that you are bad with money. It just that means that monies are not enough or finances are tight. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't handle finances. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't deserve better finances or better financial choices. It just means that you're going through a phase. So finding yourself comes back to understanding oneself, that I may be going through this tough phase, but I am not this tough phase. Did you hear that? I may be going through this tough period of my life, but I am not this tough period. Secluding yourself or separating yourself from the situation, it makes it easier to deal with the situation. I may be broke, but I'm not a broke person. I may not have a wife, but I'm not lonely. I may not be in a relationship, but I'm not lonely. Just because I'm not in a relationship doesn't mean that I am lonely. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It just doesn't mean I'm not there yet. So finding yourself amidst challenges, that's a very, very good one. Thank you very much, Mr. Banzi Jubaze, for coming through with that. The last one that I want to chat about is from Dylan Farrell. And boy, oh boy, there was, again, I'm so thankful for these gents. I met Dill at the club at Randburg again, and most of this circle, I've met them at the club. And it's so amazing how whenever I meet with Dill, there's a certain great deal of respect between me and him. We played in the same team for quite a while. He stopped playing cricket. I stopped as well. But he's always going to be popping at the club here and there. And each time we speak about travels to Zimbabwe. We speak about a lot of stuff, because he knows he's got family back in Zimbabwe as well. And Dill is one of those authentic dudes that you look at and you just go, may God bless this gent. Like, honestly, for the bottom of my heart. And when he sent me this, I was like, I don't even speak to Dill on WhatsApp quite a lot, because he's a bit on the quiet side, or he decided to just separate himself from this world or this social media world, because we go through phases in our lives where you don't want that. And he says, hey, boy, I was going to say, though, okay, I'm replying to your Facebook post. That's him. And he says, hey, bro. Hey, boy, I would say going through some type of adversity, if it means that you wake up earlier than you usually do, then do that. If it means going to gym that you never did before, then do that. So what he's trying to put out is, a lot of times we want to look at these big, giant achievements, but it's these small ones that matter. Before you can rush in to say, I want to conquer the world, you need to conquer the part of making your bed first. Imagine if you wake up every morning and say, I'm going to make the bed. After making the bed, I'm going to tidy my room. After tidying my room, I'm going to make sure that I get into my car, I pick up all the litter that is in my car, or anything that is sort of like it's going to mess you up or is not in the right spot. If there's a cup, that you're going to put it in the sink, or if there's a plate, you're going to chuck it into the dishwasher or sort of clean it. Those little battles, they end up being bigger achievements. And you're looking at them and you're like, man, come on. It's just making the bed. But I promise you, when you make your bed, your day is going to be better. And I've seen it a lot of times where my wife was not home over the past week because she was in Eastern Cape. And the one thing that she said before she left, she says, dishes do not sleep in the sink. And that's one thing that was at the back of my mind. Every day I come back from work and I know we are tired. Alaka and I, we do our stuff and then he goes to bed. But I'm sitting there and I'm just dreading. But I'm not going to go to bed until I wash those dishes. And making the bed, I think this is the first time ever that she has been gone that I was making the bed every single day. Every other day you just spread it out. Nah, it's fine. It's sorted. So it's these simple battles that you need to achieve in order to conquer the bigger picture. It's not about the bigger picture, it's about the smaller things. And he ends up saying, it's very difficult, but easy approach to get things done. It's difficult, yes, to go, I'm going through depression. I don't know what to do. Maybe let me start by making my bed. I'm going through depression. I don't know what to do. Maybe let me start by washing the t-shirt that I'm wearing. I don't know what I want to do, but let me just make sure that every time that I'm wearing my shoes, I'm going to clean them and making sure that they are clean. It's those small battles, or making sure that I iron my shirt. I just don't want to look like my problems. I had a mate of mine that always say, you look like your problems. No. I want someone to look at me and go, that's you. Nah, you can't be depressed, bro. Because I don't look like my problem. So achieve these small achievements. Thank you so much, Dale, for coming through with that advice. And I know for sure that is going to help someone else out there. And this is the end of the ones that I had. And I know that this, the thread is going to carry on going. And we're going to have a part 2 and a part 3 to ensure that we are helping one another. Thank you so much. I never expected that I would send something on Facebook and people would come through like you guys did. Thank you. If you're still here 45 minutes later, geez, this guy talks. But it's worth it. This guy speaks a lot, but it's worth it. You listen a lot, but it's worth it. And I want you in your comment section to please give me the love. Give me more advice. And you go on to socials as well and also list down what you do to ensure that, like what Dil just said, these small battles, like what Anton said, knowing your self-worth. What do those points mean to you? And what Jubasa said when he said, finding yourself in the midst of it. And what Pranit also said when he said, when you make decisions from a self-understanding. Let's expagorate those small, tiny details of every statement. Then we see how big a statement is going to be, how big of something it's going to be. Right now, we've been speaking for 46 minutes, all from 5 or 6 comments. And I'm so grateful. Liking, sharing, and subscribing, it really helps me grow as a channel. It gives me motivation as well to do this, because believe you me, it's been tough. You spend day in the sun and you're throwing balls and you're still thinking, I still need to do this. Right now, as I finish this, I still need to edit. Right now, as I finish this, I still need to find content for the following week, but it's all worth it. And as I'm going away, Dale says always, then I say to him, it takes a big man to admit to such. It takes a big person to admit that they are going through a phase. And he says always, boy, you're doing good with this project. And power to you, my bro. Power to you, everyone that has commented. Power to you, to the one that is watching. Power to you, to the one that you share to. They are strong individuals, and getting to know who they are is really important. From me to you, I love you guys. Take it easy rather, and stay safe. Keep believing. God loves you, and I'll see you on the other side. We are coming back. Game on. Spill the beans. We are coming back. Thank you. I can never thank you enough. Cheers for now.